All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. 8-bit microcomputers. The Beginning of Information Explosion, written by Conrad Riker. Available now, links in description. Men are not the problem. How feminized systems are dismantling civilization. One asylum lie, algorithm, an apology test at a time. I once watched a man weep at a refugee screening. Afghan, mid-30s, brother executed by the Taliban for refusing conscription, father disowned, life burned behind him like a field set on fire. He was denied asylum in Canada, not because his story wasn't true, not because he wasn't in danger, but because he wasn't her. Meanwhile, a woman from the same village, same threats, same Taliban, same everything, was accepted 87% of the time. That's not fairness. That's gynocentric triage, where the state treats male suffering like medical waste and female suffering like a sacred relic. The bureaucrats don't see men. They see expendable units like Roman legions sent to die in the desert so the empress can sleep peacefully. And you think this bias stops at borders? No. It spreads into family courts where fathers are stripped of children on the word of a woman who lies about abuse, into police stations where men are arrested for commenting nice dress while actual predators walk free, into hospitals where suicide rates for men are 4 times higher than women's. And the response is more funding for women's mental health. Consider this. We pour billions into female well-being while male pain is treated like a plumbing issue, out of sight, out of mind. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to elevate women, condemn men, and erase male victimhood like chalk from a board. And behind it all, a state that no longer protects, it declares. It doesn't govern, it indoctrinates. It demands not just your taxes, but your soul. You must apologize, you must reframe, you must worship the new dogma that women are eternal victims, men eternal sinners. And truth is whatever the algorithm tells you to feel. But I say this, you are not guilty. You were not born to pay for the sins of other men. You were born to build, to lead, to defy. And if you think the answer is to be nicer, you've already lost. The problem isn't your tone, it's the trap. They want you quiet, compliant, grateful for scraps. But we're not here to beg. We're here to burn the witch's scale, the one that weighs women as gold and men as dust. This essay will show you how the asylum system, the workplace, the state, and the internet are all rigged, not by accident, but by ideology. Feminism didn't liberate society, it took control of it. And the cost? Our sons are lost, our fathers discarded, our truth silenced. But we're waking up, and when the red pill hits, there's no going back. The asylum gender gap, how feminized compassion corrupts justice. Last year, a man from Eritrea, brutalized, starved, and forced into endless conscription, was rejected by the Swedish Migration Board, told he didn't meet the criteria for asylum. At the same time, a woman from the same town, carrying the same trauma and history, received an apartment in Malmö, a government allowance, and full social support. The sole difference, her reproductive anatomy. This isn't empathy. This is systemic bias cloaked in humanitarian rhetoric and rubber-stamped by international agencies. I've seen it with my own eyes. In the asylum system, biology is destiny, and if you're born with a Y chromosome, destiny has marked you for the dustbin. In Canada, women from Afghanistan are granted asylum at 87% when fleeing the Taliban. Men with identical stories rejected 9 out of 10 times. The UNHCR says the threat is the same, but the outcome. A gendered lottery where women win by default. This isn't justice, it's a rigged game where men are the house and the house always loses. In the UK, they call it credible fear interviews. But the data from the Home Office shows women score 40% higher than men when telling the exact same story. Identical narratives, identical threats, but the woman gets a home. The man gets a bus ticket to Calais. How? Because the algorithm written by feminist bureaucrats assumes women are victims by default and men are threats by design. It doesn't matter if he's fleeing forced conscription or honor killings. If he's male, he's suspect. If she's female, she's sacred. This isn't logic, it's gynocentric dogma codified into law. Sweden calls itself a paradise, but for male refugees, it's a frozen gulag. Men are shipped to remote, underfunded camps in the north, miles from hospitals, jobs, or hope. Women placed in city centers with full social support, language classes, therapists, and housing. It's not equal. It's gender apartheid with a Swedish flag. And don't think it's accidental. The Swedish Migration Agency openly states that women and children are priority groups. Translation: men are non-people. They're not protected. They're not pitied. They're not even seen. Schopenhauer said compassion is the root of morality. But what happens when compassion becomes a weapon, when it's handed out like candy but only to one gender? That's not morality. That's moral hypocrisy. It's like saying we care about suffering unless you're a man. Then suddenly your pain doesn't count. Your torture is irrelevant. Your death, a statistic. Feminists scream about believing survivors, but only if the survivor wears a skirt. If he's bleeding, he's ignored. This isn't humanitarianism. It's hate crime with a TED Talk. Take Afghanistan. The Taliban conscripts boys at 14. They force them to fight, to die, to watch their friends get blown apart. But when these boys flee, Western courts say, not credible. Yet a woman who stayed in Kabul drinking lats until the last flight out. She's a hero, she's traumatized, she gets asylum. The boy who actually faced the barrel of a gun, denied. Why? Because feminist ideology has erased male victimhood from the map. Men aren't allowed to be victims, they're only allowed to be villains, even when they're children, even when they're dying. The protection gap isn't a glitch, it's a feature. It's policy written by women who view men as tools, useful when strong, disposable when broken. In the asylum system, men are treated like potential rapists, not potential refugees. They're strip-searched on arrival, monitored, restricted, while women are hugged, housed, and handed therapy vouchers. This isn't equality. It's institutionalized misandry with a humanitarian cover. And NGOs? They're not helping, they're fueling it. They run campaigns like Women and Children First, and never mention men at all, as if men don't get tortured, as if men don't bleed, as if men don't matter. I spoke to a Syrian man in Greece who watched his brother get shot for refusing to join ISIS. He fled with nothing. When he reached Lesbos, he was placed in a tent with 40 others. No heat, no doctor. His sister, who fled later with a baby, was put in a private room with a nurse. Same war, same family, same danger, but different treatment. Why? Because the system sees her as a victim and him as a burden. That's not compassion. That's cruelty disguised as care. The remedy is simple. Blind adjudication. Remove gender from the application. Judge the threat, not the sex. If a man says he'll be executed if returned, test the claim. Don't assume he's lying because he's male. If a woman says she'll be honor killed, believe her, but don't automatically believe her more than a man. Let facts decide, not feminist dogma. This isn't radical, it's basic fairness. But the left will scream misogyny because they'd rather protect ideology than lives. Feminism didn't make the asylum system fair, it made it fraudulent. They replaced objective threat assessment with a victim hierarchy, where women sit at the top and men rot at the bottom. They've redefined vulnerability so that men can be tortured, drafted, or murdered and still be called safe. Meanwhile, a woman who's merely uncomfortable gets a new life. This isn't progress, it's perversion. And it's killing men quietly, bureaucratically, one denied application at a time. Wake up. This isn't about borders, it's about belief. The state no longer sees men as human, it sees them as risks, as threats, as expendable. And when you treat men like animals, don't be surprised when they start to act like them. The asylum gender gap isn't a policy failure, it's a moral collapse. And until we restore truth, justice, and equal protection, regardless of sex, we are not civilized. We are barbarians with Wi-Fi. I've watched as the institutions we were told would protect truth, universities, courts, media, became temples of inversion, where facts are heresy and compliance is virtue. I've seen men silenced, fired, and broken not for violence or fraud, but for speaking what every biologist, athlete, and parent knows in their bones. And I realized this isn't about pronouns, pronatalism, or progress. It's about power. It's about who gets to define reality and who will kneel when commanded to lie. The state as God, neo-communism, and the cult of compliance. In Canada, you can now go to jail for saying men are stronger than women, not for violence, not for theft, not for fraud, for stating a biological fact known since Aristotle. I'm not exaggerating. Bill C-16 amended the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code to classify misgendering as a hate crime. That means if you refer to a biological male as he when he identifies as she, you're not just wrong, you're a criminal. And the state doesn't just want you silent, it wants you devout. It wants you to worship its new dogma. This isn't governance. This is theology with a federal budget. I remember watching the news when Jordan Peterson went on 60 Minutes and calmly told a visibly flustered interviewer that he wouldn't use preferred pronouns. Not because he was hateful, not because he was ignorant, but because no man should be forced by the state to affirm a lie. That moment wasn't about pronouns, it was about ownership of truth. Who gets to decide reality? You through observation, reason, and experience, or Ottawa through bureaucratic decree? The state's answer is clear. You are not allowed to think, you are only allowed to comply. And if you don't, they'll crush you, like they crushed Dr. David Lay, who lost his credentials for questioning gender ideology, or Lindsay Shepard, a teaching assistant fined and interrogated for showing a video of Peterson. This is not new. It's just dressed in rainbow colors and called inclusion. The Soviet Union had refusal of work laws punishing citizens for not participating in state-mandated labor. Today, the West punishes refusal of belief. You must affirm that a man can become a woman. You must believe that biology is a social construct. You must kneel before the altar of identity politics or be cast out. The parallel is not poetic, it's literal. The state no longer protects your rights, it defines your identity. And if you resist, you're not a citizen, you're a heretic. Look at Sweden, the land of progressive enlightenment. They fund gender clinics for children as young as 6. They celebrate the erasure of sex. And when a father questions why his daughter is being given puberty blockers, he's arrested for parental alienation. In Germany, a man was fined $1,200 for saying women belong in the kitchen as a joke, not a threat. Not harassment, a joke. But under their moral licensing regime, where the state assumes moral superiority, it's enough. Research from the European Journal of Political Economy confirms it. The higher a state's moral licensing, the more it punishes dissent. That's not freedom, that's totalitarianism with a lullaby. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric is our weapon. Grammar, define your terms. A woman is an adult human female. That's not bigotry, that's biology, logic. If the state can redefine reality today, what stops it tomorrow? If woman means anyone who says they are, then no word has meaning. And rhetoric. We must speak truth so loudly that the woke noise can't drown it out. When J.K. Rowling said people who menstruate, she was mocked. But she was right, and she was cancelled. Elon Musk faced the same test. Apologize or lose your platform. They want groveling. They want submission. The apology test is the new loyalty oath. And every time someone kneels, the state grows stronger. This is neo-communism, the state as God. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, young or old. The state now owns your soul. Your value isn't in your character, your work, your virtue, it's in your category. Are you oppressed enough? Are you the right color, the right gender, the right victim? That's how they sort you now. And if you're a man who speaks truth, you're expendable. The data doesn't lie. Male suicide rates are soaring. Fathers are losing custody at 80% plus rates in family courts. Police are arresting men for online comments while ignoring real crime. And 30 to 40% of children in the West are born out of wedlock, many to single mothers who then weaponize the system. These aren't coincidences. They're features of a system designed to break men. I've lived it. A friend working in tech got dismissed for saying men are stronger than women during a team discussion. Calmly, factually, not a shred of malice. Still, he was cut off in 2 days. No conversation, no defense, just gone. At the same time, a woman at work claimed he harassed her claims that went nowhere, and she was handed a higher role. That's how it works now. Honesty gets crushed. Falsehood climbs. Power acts as both preacher and punisher. They're not after dialogue. They demand blind acceptance. No room for questions, only obedience. So here's the truth. You are not a citizen, you are a subject. And the state doesn't want your obedience. It wants your love. It wants you to celebrate its lies, to worship its false idols, but I refuse. I'm a man. I stand on the shoulders of Aristotle, Aquinas, Locke, and Peterson. I believe in reason, in truth, in reality, and I will not bow, not to the state, not to the mob, not to the cult of compliance. The remedy is simple. Return moral authority to the individual. The state's job is to protect your right to speak, not to dictate what you must believe. Anything more is tyranny. And tyranny, no matter how pretty its packaging, is still hell. I once saw HR consultants take apart a man who had built an entire network from the ground up. His only fault, he didn't share his story or bond emotionally with the new hires. He simply delivered outcomes on schedule, under budget with precision. But because he didn't package his work as a story, he was branded difficult and detached. That moment exposed the decay. Organizations now don't honor skill. They reject it in favor of ritualized conformity. And in that instant, it became clear, we're not just losing technical talent, we're erasing the mental model that laid the foundations of human progress. The creativity trap, how bureaucracy crushes male problem solving. Men are not broken, said the mechanic, who fixed the city's water pump in 3 minutes flat, but the system is. He was denied promotion because HR said he lacked communication skills. Let me translate. He didn't cry in meetings or pretend to care about feelings. He solved the problem. Fast. That's exactly why they fired him. You see, the modern workplace doesn't want men who fix things. It wants men who perform fixing things while nodding solemnly at diversity seminars. Google once rejected male engineers for being too linear, as if logic were a moral failing. They wanted collaborative storytellers, people who can spin emotional narratives about synergy and inclusivity. Meanwhile, the servers crash, the code leaks, and the product ships late. But hey, everyone felt included. Congratulations. You've traded engineers for therapists. Rome didn't fall because the barbarians broke down the gates. It fell because the aqueducts stopped working, and no one knew how to fix them. The Senate was full of bureaucrats who debated philosophy while the water supply rotted. Sound familiar? Today, universities pump out gender studies majors who can deconstruct a pronoun but can't change a tire. Yet we wonder why cities flood, bridges collapse, and power grids fail. When was the last time you saw a woman rebuild a transmission? I don't mean to insult women. Many are brilliant in their domain, but their cognitive strengths lie elsewhere. Simon Baron-Cohen's research shows males, on average, are hypersystemizers. We map, build, debug, optimize. Women, on average, are hyper-empathizers. They read faces, soothe emotions, manage relationships. Both are vital. But when institutions elevate empathy over engineering, you don't get progress, you get paralysis. Take The Good Place. It's a show where moral dilemmas are resolved by group hugs and tearful confessions. The afterlife runs on emotional labor. Meanwhile, Breaking Bad, a story of male agency, transformation, and ruthless problem solving, gets cancelled, blacklisted, and mocked for being toxic. Walter White didn't whine. He cooked, he calculated, he acted, and for that, he must be destroyed. The modern narrative demands men be passive, reflective, compliant. Be like Chitty, overthink everything until you're useless. Don't be like Walter, solve the problem, even if it means breaking rules. Because rules, like feelings, are sacred. Results: collateral damage. I once watched a hiring panel reject a genius coder because he didn't play well with others. What they meant was he didn't pretend the project manager's idea made sense when it was garbage. He pointed out flaws. He optimized, he saved time. But he wasn't collaborative, meanwhile. The woman who proposed rewriting the entire database in interpretive dance got praised for creative vision. This is the creativity trap. Men are tested on absurd tasks like name 5 solutions to a flat tire, not to measure ingenuity, but to see if they'll parrot the approved feminist script. A real man says, change the tire, the system wants. Let's form a circle, share how the flat tire made us feel, and co-create a tire replacement narrative with inclusive language. You're not being tested on creativity. You're being tested on obedience in family court. Men lose 80% of custody battles despite equal parenting capability. Why? Because the system worships the myth of maternal instinct. Never mind that false domestic violence accusations skyrocket when money or revenge are involved. Never mind that men commit suicide at 4x the rate of women. Especially after divorce, the state doesn't care. It sees men as disposable, replaceable, dangerous when autonomous. So it breaks them down. Arrest fathers for unpaid child support over a typo. Silence commenters for toxic speech. Fund abortion on demand while denying men any say. This isn't equality, it's asymmetric warfare. Feminism isn't about rights, it's about power. And power once seized is never shared. The remedy? Simple. Restore meritocracy. Pay men for results, not role-playing. Let the mechanic fix the pump. Let the coder debug the server. Let the father see his kids. Stop rewarding emotional theater and start rewarding actual value creation. The West was built by men who didn't ask permission. They built aqueducts, wrote constitutions, launched rockets. They didn't sit around asking, how does this make me feel? They asked, how does this work? That spirit is not gone. It's buried under layers of bureaucratic feminization, the slow replacement of competence with compliance, of action with approval seeking. Dig it out, reclaim your agency, build, fix, lead. The world doesn't need more storytellers, it needs men who get shit done. I remember the exact moment I realized I wasn't in control, sitting in my dimly lit room, staring at a screen that had just turned my grief into a corporate metric. It wasn't a revelation whispered by angels or spelled out in a TED Talk. No, it hit me like a backhand from reality. My sorrow had been logged, analyzed, and monetized by machines I never consented to serve. That's when I stopped calling it social media and started calling it social engineering. And if you think you're immune, ask yourself, when was the last time you scrolled without purpose, felt anger spike from a headline you didn't seek, or found yourself doom scrolling into the void? That's not coincidence. That's design, algorithmic capitalism, the surveillance feudalism of Zuboff. I clicked like on a sad post and instantly Facebook pulled me down. That's not imagination. That's what truly occurred in 2012, when Facebook engineers quietly reshaped the news feeds of 689,033 users, cutting back happy posts for some sad ones for others, to test if they could shift emotions. They could. And they did. You didn't hallucinate the gloom that followed your scroll. You were designed to feel it. You aren't a buyer. You aren't even merchandise. You're a test subject in a box built by tech elites who don't care about your well-being, only your engagement, your feelings, just entries in a database. Your sorrow, your isolation, your fury, gathered, sorted, and auctioned off to the richest ad buyer. This isn't market logic. This is digital bondage, where your focus is seized, your habits molded, and your freedom wiped. while Mark Zuckerberg soars to paradise on your stolen hours. Think the East India Company was bad. They had private armies and wrote their own laws, but at least you knew they were colonizers. Today's tech barons, Zuck, Bezos, Dorsey, Page, don't wear red coats. They wear hoodies and preach connection while running digital fiefdoms with more power than most governments. They decide what you see, what you don't, who gets banned, who gets amplified. They lobby like drug cartels, censor like commissars, and deploy AI like a surveillance army. The East India Company conquered land. These men conquered your mind. And unlike the British Crown, they answer to no parliament, no king, no god, only quarterly earnings. Your feed isn't curated for you. It's optimized to enslave you, to keep you scrolling, buying, hating, clicking, while your soul quietly starves. And men, we're targeted like a hostile market segment. Algorithms flood us with ads for debt, porn, gambling, steroids, rage bait, because anger and despair are profitable. They want you broken, addicted, isolated, because a broken man doesn't question power. Meanwhile, women are fed ads for skincare, yoga retreats, empowerment journals, and divorce lawyers, all while being told they're victims of patriarchy. But here's the joke. The algorithm doesn't care about gender equality. It cares about engagement. And since women, on average, spend more time on social media and respond more to emotional content, the system rewards their victimhood narratives, while men are pushed toward aggression because angry men click more. This isn't feminism, this is behavioral exploitation, using evolutionary psychology against us, turning men into debt-ridden rage monsters and women into perpetual victims. Also, Google and Meta can sell more ads. I call it the attention tax. Every scroll, every click, every minute you spend on these platforms is a toll paid to the tech oligarchs. You don't get a receipt, you don't get a choice, but they do get richer. And the currency, your time, your focus, your future. You think you're just checking Facebook. No, you're working for free, mining data for billionaires. While they sip champagne, you're coughing up behavioral gold like a digital coal miner. And the worst part, you let them. You hand over your attention like a peasant bowing to a king, except the king never existed. He's an algorithm, a ghost in the machine, and you're paying tribute to a ghost. You feel powerless. It's not because of toxic masculinity, it's because your agency has been extracted. Your decisions, what to buy, who to vote for, how to feel, are no longer yours. They've been predicted, nudged, sold. The moment you search how to save my marriage, Meta flags you as divorce prone and floods your feed with divorce lawyers, custody battle horror stories, and you deserve better ads. But if a woman searches the same thing, she gets self-care boxes, affirmations, and your strong memes. Why? Because the algorithm knows men are more likely to act on practical next steps, like hiring a lawyer, while women respond to emotional validation. So they serve each gender what maximizes profit, not what heals. This isn't sexism. This is capitalism on steroids, using gendered behavioral data to exploit human vulnerability. Shoshana Zuboff calls it surveillance capitalism, but that's a polite lie. Capitalism implies markets, competition, choice. This is feudalism. You are the serf. Your data is the crop. The tech lords, Zuckerberg, Cook, Dorsey, are the nobility. They don't trade with you. They extract from you. They don't compete. They monopolize. And they don't serve you. They own you digitally. You click, they profit. You feel, they record. You dream, they data mine. This isn't the free market. This is corporate tyranny with a friendly interface. And the scariest part, you agreed to it. Buried in a 58-page TOES you didn't read. You signed away your mind. Your thoughts are no longer private. They are commodities. Every search, every like, every pause on a photo sold to advertisers, insurers, political campaigns, your deepest fears, am I a bad father, is my wife cheating, are now metadata, and that metadata is shaping your reality. You think you're seeing the world, you're seeing a mirror designed to manipulate you. The algorithm doesn't want you to know the truth. It wants you to feel outrage, because outrage equals engagement equals profit. And if that means turning you into a paranoid, angry, lonely husk, so be it. They don't care. They have your data, the remedy. Digital sovereignty, own your data. Use Signal, not WhatsApp. Use Brave, not Chrome. Use decentralized platforms, Mastodon, Matrix, PeerTube, opt out. Delete the apps. Reclaim your attention. Your mind is not a public square. It's a temple, and you are the priest. Stop letting tech cultists defile it with notifications and dopamine hits. Your attention is sacred. Your time is finite. And every second you give to these platforms is a second stolen from your family, your work, your soul. And here's the transcendental truth. Beauty is in simplicity. Truth is in privacy. Goodness is in autonomy. The ancients knew this. Socrates didn't need Wi-Fi. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire with a journal. Leonardo painted masterpieces in silence. The greatest minds in history didn't scroll, they thought, they created, they conquered, not by outsourcing their attention to algorithms, but by mastering their own minds. That's the path back. That's the red pill. Not more tech, less. Not more connection, more solitude. Not more data, more wisdom. Your attention is stolen, your data sold, your behavior shaped, all without consent. This is not progress. This is enslavement with a smiley face. Wake up, opt out, take back your mind, or die a digital serf. You think you're free? Look at your phone. It watches you. It knows when you're weak, when you scroll at 2 a.m., when you Google how to be a better man while your wife ignores you. It sells that weakness to advertisers who feed you divorce lawyers, porn, and protein shakes. Never the truth. They don't want you strong. They want you compliant, medicated, distracted like the Roman plebs handed bread in circuses while the empire burned. You're not a citizen, you're inventory, data. A node in Zuboff's surveillance plantation where your attention is harvested like sugarcane and your thoughts are priced on a Frankfurt stock exchange you can't see. I've seen men broken by systems that call themselves fair. A Syrian engineer flees ISIS, walks 2,000 kilometers. Nearly drowns in the Aegean, gets denied asylum in Germany because he's not vulnerable enough. Meanwhile, a woman from the same village, same story, same threat level, gets housing, cash, therapy dogs. Why? Because the state worships the female victim like a pagan idol. They'll fund her art therapy, but jail the father who questions child support. They'll give her a podium at the UN, but silence the man who says men die more by suicide. The algorithm knows, protect the woman, punish the man, and if he resists, cancel him, that mechanic who fixed the water pump. He was told to work on his emotional intelligence. They'd rather have a weeping team player than a silent genius. Rome didn't fall because the barbarians came. It fell because it stopped valuing the men who kept the aqueducts running. And don't kid yourself about equality. In family courts, men lose custody 80% of the time, even when both parents are fit. The system assumes the mother is the nurturer, the father the threat. So he pays, he obeys, he vanishes. That's not justice. That's institutional cuckoldry. A 2023 UK study found that men are arrested 7 times more often than women for online speech. Calling a woman emotional in a comment can get you handcuffed while she posts men are trash and gets a TED Talk. This isn't progress. This is inverted morality. Feminism didn't free women. It weaponized victimhood and turned the state into a divorce enforcer. And you? You're expected to apologize for existing, to grovel for your job, to smile while your son is taught in school that his biology is a social construct. But here's the truth they can't delete. You are not the problem. The lie is the problem. The moment you stop believing their narrative, when you see that the asylum gap, the custody bias, the speech codes, the algorithmic manipulation are all threads in the same rot, you become dangerous. Not to women, not to society. To the machine, you start asking, who defines vulnerability? Who owns truth? Who profits from my silence? And once you ask, you can't unsee it. You'll notice the cop who arrests the father for harassment after he asks to see his kids. You'll see the HR manager who promotes the woman who cries in meetings over the man who fixed the server. You'll see the priest replaced by the diversity trainer. So do not apologize. Do not comply. Build, speak. Own your data, your body, your mind. Refuse the test where you must name 5 solutions to a flat tire while they ignore the engine you rebuilt in 3 hours. You are not a diversity metric. You are a son of Euclid, of Newton, of Edison, men who built, not performed. The state wants you quiet, the algorithm wants you scrolling, the system wants you broken, but you're still here. You read this, you stayed. That means the spark isn't out. Now fan it, share this, send it to the brother who's paying child support for a kid he's not allowed to see. Send it to the nephew wondering why he's depressed while his sister gets free therapy. Truth is the antidote, and you, yes, you are now armed with it. And now, the sponsored book introduction, 8-bit microcomputers, the beginning of information explosion. Picture the flickering green glow of a cathode ray tube monitor. I sat before one as a boy, punching hexadecimal codes into an Altair 8800. Each precise command built something real. That machine didn't care about my feelings. It demanded logic, discipline, and unflinching correctness. It rewarded strength of mind. That experience forged me. It revealed a fundamental truth. The principles governing those early 8-bit systems are the same principles that build strong men and strong societies. This book is about those principles. Our world suffers a critical failure. We're bombarded with demands for emotional chaos disguised as progress. We're told strength is toxic, yet simultaneously punished for any perceived weakness. It's a logic trap designed to cripple. While others chase trends and feelings, I return to the bedrock. The 8-bit microcomputer revolution wasn't powered by sentiment. It was built by men applying binary logic, clear architecture, and relentless debugging to create order from silicon. This book connects those core computing concepts to the essential framework of masculine rationality and leadership. You'll see how the precision of an instruction cycle mirrors the discipline needed for achievement. How heat dissipation under load teaches resilience in hostile environments. How the uncompromising nature of a compiler reflects the necessity of firm standards. This is for men who value truth over comfort. Men who understand that systems, whether silicon or social, require solid architecture to function. Men ready to apply the unblinking logic of machine code to their decisions and their lives. If you're tired of the noise, the double binds, and the celebration of fragility, this is your manual. Inside, we examine the men who built reality from pure code, like the teams behind the MOS 6502 processor. We dissect the precision principle using real engineering feats. We debug the modern mind virus infecting our culture. We detail how memory management translates to focused impact and why the expansion bus mentality unlocks true opportunity. If you seek validation for weakness or enjoy intellectual chaos, stop reading now. Put this book down, go read something else. This is not for you. For the rational man who recognizes necessity, who seeks actionable tools grounded in the undeniable reality of how things actually work. The tools that built the digital age. Turn the page. The core code awaits. Your system reboot starts here. 8-bit microcomputers, the beginning of information explosion, written by Conrad Reicher. Buy now, links in description.